Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at a team that I got per DM, which was kinda funny, with all Shadow Pokemon. We have a triple Shadow team and I went 13-2 with this team with Astonish variant of the Drifblim, which is really cool as well. The issue is though, like I got up to like 2,940 MMR I think, so that's definitely really great. The issue is just that the team that I showcased yesterday is pretty awkward to beat with this one here because it's basically a hard wall to this team, and sadly, again, as said already in the video yesterday, this team kinda went more viral. I like the team that kinda hard contested kinda went more viral overnight, and so I was not able to hit Legend with this team because I got hard counted afterwards, but I'm fairly certain that the meta kinda shifts towards it again, that this team going to be a little bit more viable in like 1 or 2 more days because people are going to start using Bitehole more often, but also people are going to start countering Bitehole more often, and so basically the meta is going to shift kind of towards where this team is a little bit more like usable. But also I was just insanely unlucky for the second day where I tried to use it because in I think 10 games that I played I had 5 times Bitehole against me, which I showcased yesterday. And yeah, basically the last 15 battles that I then did in the day, I only encountered Bitehole once. So like if I just had the battles basically that I had from the other team that I showcased, I would have been fine. But yeah, this team is definitely really cool here. The opponent is going to forfeit and we can move on to the second game. What do you do against a mirror lead of Magnezone? You kind of want to stay in here. Like, most of the time, they actually have a similar team towards what we have here as well. So what we kind of try to do here is we're going to stay in. They're going to go for the Wild Charge. And now we can go for our own Wild Charge. And because they got a little bit more damage off them while they were debuffed already, we're going to be able to just one-shot them anyway. They're going to most likely swap out into a Fighting-type Pokemon here with Toxic Rogue, and they have their own Gliscor on the back. And at this point, we're going to be in a great position because we still have a move stored with the Mirror Shot onto our Magnezone, which is really amazing for us because you can still use it here. And then we're still going to have our Shadow Astonish variant of the Drifblim in the back. And Astonish is cool. Astonish does a little bit more damage than Hex does generate a little bit less energy though. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, but I feel like Astonish is definitely a cool fast move to go for. Not sure if it's better than Hex though. Like, I'm honestly not too sure about it. It has its benefits, but also has like a little bit of some tricky times here. I'm going to be able to use a shield, by the way, against the opponent. This was a Shadow Ball, which is really important that we use a shield here. Shadow bonus is going to add up, and you see already, it actually definitely does make a lot of sense here to go for Astonish in order to like farm down just opponents here like the Toxic Rogue. It's just really nice to have a little bit more damage output there. But yeah, this team 13-2 on my first day with this one, definitely something that you can try to run as well. Astonish Drifblim definitely is a cool Pokemon. Like, I have to say here, for example, I don't think I encountered a single person also running Astonish on this Pokemon, but I feel like it does make quite some sense. What I would say though is that I'm not too sure if Mystical Fire is needed on Drifblim for this meta or like in general for this set, because there were like some situations which I maybe had a little bit more play as well, where I would have won like one of the 2 losses that I had with this team in the beginning if I had Shadow Ball over the Mystical Fire. This would be something I would maybe change up, but otherwise this team is amazing. The Gliscor with Night Slash is really good. Like, Gliscor is surprisingly amazing right now, like really good Pokemon to use. Would really recommend you to go for it. Also the boost can help out quite often as well, but in general, if you don't encounter Bitehole, this team is basically good against everything, which is kind of nice. And here we're going to be able to actually catch the Avalanche, which is kind of important. And here at least you can go for the Mystical Fire against the opponent. I wanted to go for the move immediately, but the game kind of lagged and got me an extra fast move in. They go for the Mud Bomb, which is a little bit scary, but we can still go for our own fast charge move here, which is going to get the knockout actually against the opponent. And with this, we can just farm them down and win this game. Next opponent coming up, what do you do against Empoleon? Empoleon is a little bit tricky to play with your backline, so what you're gonna try to do here is just stay in and don't throw. You can just farm them down in, yeah, basically if you use one shield, you can just farm them down with Volt Switch, and you're going to end up with 2 Wild Charges stored, which is kind of nice. A lot of times they have double flying in the back, and this time around they also do exactly this. So with this, you're going to have also some targets later on to hit, and even against the Gliscor, a Wild Charge is only a single resisted and still does a ton of damage. Here we're going to be able to let this move go through, which is kind of nice. Icy Wind is going to get the knockout, but we can go back into our own Magnezone. We can just go for 2 Wild Charges, and we should be kind of fine. Actually go for an extra fast move here, which is not really necessary, but this is going to get the knockout. And actually it's kind of nice I went for the extra fast move, because now our health is a little bit lower, so the opponent gets a little bit less farm. We can go for another Wild Charge, and this is exactly what I mean. Like, you're still going to do a ton of damage, and now with Astonish, you're also going to have more damage output with your fast move already, which is amazing for us as well. Night Slash is coming through. I thought of going for the Icy Wind here as well, but I'm deciding here, I think, to just go for the straight farm down. Let's see if this is going to be the right call. They don't get the debuff, which is nice. And yes, the straight farm down was the right call to go for here. Next opponent, great lead for us. They're definitely going to swap out. They're going to swap out into Drifblim. This is not going to be a bite Drifblim, so that's going to be kind of okay, but also kind of not. I'm going to use a shield here because it can be a crunch. It's just an awkward here. I could have let this move go through. But I decided to go for the bait here, which might be a little bit risky. Let's see what it is going to be. It is going to let this move go through, which is kind of fine for us. The issue with Drifblim for this team is, like, this is most likely one of the worst Pokemon to face with Poison Sting, especially. You're going to be able to, like, get so many shields from me. Like, Crunch is going to basically hit everything here, and Awkward here is going to be even super effective against Gliscor. So, it is a little bit tricky because this team is pretty glassy, which I usually kind of like because I'm not the biggest fan of just out-bulking everyone. But it's still going to be a little bit of a trickier one. Here we're going to be able to go for a charge move against the opponent. It's going to get the final shield most likely as they are. No, actually not the final shield. They still have a shield left here, which is kind of annoying. They can go for the knockout against us. Icy Wind is coming through. I can go back into my Magna Zone most likely. And the opponent has a Bastion in the back, and I decide to forfeit here afterwards. Yeah, Bastion against our Drifblim was just not really ideal for us, and don't think there was a way of winning this game though. Next one, we're going to have another Empoleon lead, and again, you're going to try to stay in here, just go for the full farm down. They only get 2 fast moves in here, which is amazing, and we're going to have now 2 charge moves stored. And they swap into a Drifblim, where I should have maybe just went straight for the 2 charge moves, but I decided to swap out immediately into my Gliscor, which is going to be okay. You can use a shield here as well if they're going to yeah, stay in there and try to go for a charge move, but they swap out into a Frostless, which is actually better for me, because like this, I can still go for Night Slash. I don't get to another one here. They can go for the full farm down, but they're still going to be a little bit scared about like the wild charges here, I would imagine. As I can go for my own charge move here, it's going to be the Mirror Shot. The opponent is going to use a shield, as I am going to also be forced to use a shield here. I should be able to go for the wild charge now, but I actually went for the mirror shot. I think that was like a wrong CMP tie because I didn't go for a charge move afterwards anymore. Now we're in a tough spot, as I'm going to be forced to swap out here and I catch the move. I think I still survive, hopefully. Let's see. Do I still survive this move? I do still survive this move, but it's going to be a little bit tough because we're kind of forced now to go for a charge move immediately. It has to be the mirror shot as well against the opponent, because otherwise the opponent would get us a little bit too low. But can we survive 2 Powder Snows with our Magna Zone? Let's take a look at this. We can, and we can win this game. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have the Frostless against us in the lead, which is amazing. They swap into the Lucario, which is actually a little bit tricky to play against. Maybe Gliscor would be a little bit better. Maybe. I'm not too sure about it. Like, both Pokemon are kind of fine. They, of course, have access to the move Shadow Ball, which is a little bit tricky, so you have to kind of use a shield. I can still go for a charge move here, and they're gonna let this move go through, so we're 1 shield down, but we can realign. Still kind of fine, because against the Frostless, I still should be able to reach another Mystical Fire in time. With this, dropping the opponent's attack, plus also getting a ton of damage with Astonish is kind of cool as well here. So Shadow Drifblim is putting in some work. As are we going to be able to let this next move go through? I can just align my Magna Zone again, as the opponent swaps into a Gastrodon. This is going to be great. Some Gastrodon have the coverage of Water Pulse, a horrific move, but very good for those scenarios where you're going to have the Gliscor, for example, against you. Here they're just going to go for the Body Slam, which is totally fine. And I go for the Night Slash, which is the way safer play to go for. The opponent is not going to use a shield, but it doesn't really matter, because I know, okay, I can just use a shield here anyway. It doesn't really matter either. But I can just overfarm by quite a bit now, and I have now 2 Night Slashes stored. This 1 Night Slash would be enough to knock them out already. They're most likely going to let this move go through exactly. I can go for another Night Slash, force a shield, and I still have like energy, I think, on my Magna Zone. So I will be able to go for a Wild Charge now, and we can say goodbye to the opponent's Frostless. So, I'm mostly going to do more creative stuff as well again on my channel for the upcoming weeks, because I am going to be done with university, hopefully, just a little bit after you see this video, because I'm currently, when you mostly watch this, in exam, so that's going to be great. So I have a little bit more time for YouTube, which is going to be nice, because yes, I'm not doing YouTube full-time anymore, at least. University is still chunking away from my time, so there's going to be a little bit more interesting content as well coming up, so stay tuned for this. I had some other ideas as well, bringing the Road to Glory back, for example, but I had to sadly kind of scrap that for now. But maybe I'm gonna do like something like Stream Road to Glory, would be something cool maybe, where I just start streaming all those spells on my Road to Glory account, just trying to get some fast elo with it. I'm also not going to do it for this season. Maybe I can start already though. Like, let me know in the comment section if you would like to see something like this. Would be maybe something interesting. Maybe even do it on Twitch, because this is the thing about like YouTube and streaming, sadly, it just kind of collides with video upload as well. Like, you're going to get less views on videos as well if you basically stream on YouTube, which is kind of sad. But I have to see what I'm going to do with that. I definitely going to restructure a lot of things for YouTube and general content, so definitely stay tuned for this. I'm going to have a little bit more time for at least the next 6 weeks, which is going to be great. But yeah, here we're gonna see the matchup against Gliscor with Gliscor, which is totally okay for us because we still have our Magnezone. Yes, they can go for a charge move. I can just use a shield, even if they get the boost here. One wild charge, I think they actually got the boost here. One wild charge is going to be enough to knock them out, so it doesn't really matter. And this is going to be a good game. Next opponent, we're going to have a Frostless in the lead. Kind of decent lead for us. We're going to be able to just go for a fast move there as well, but the opponent stops into a Gastrodon. Going to get walled by the Drifblim now, as I can go for the Icy Wind. I would always go for the Icy Wind first because you're not going to be able to knock them out otherwise, and if they're going to have something like a Water Pulse, which a lot of people have if they use it as a safe swap, which they don't, they have Earth Power, which is totally okay for us. It would be a little bit better for us, but like this is going to be a great matchup because now what are they going to be up against? Then the Frosters against us, where we have still the Mystical Fire, so the opponent actually decides to forfeit there as well already. Next opponent, we're going to have the Gastrodon. The Gastrodon again in the lead, we're going to swap out, and this is basically not the issue actually. It's not Bitehole, it's just a normal Drapion in the back, which is I guess kind of fine for us. Yeah, against Bitehole, if you're going to encounter it, your only chance of winning, which happened to me once, and this is only when the opponent makes a little bit of a mistake as well, is if you boost on the second or first Night Slash when you go for Night Slash against the Drapion if they swap in. That's the only way of winning against Bitehole, basically, which happened to me. I actually boosted twice against Bitehole immediately with Night Slash, and I only won once because the opponent still has to throw a charge move in order for you to basically get a free fast move in and get to another Night Slash at the end. Otherwise they can just farm you down as well, which is just stupid. Honestly, Bitehole is such a big issue for this team. I would imagine though that maybe if you go for the non-shadow variant of Gliscor, Bitehole would not be as big of an issue anymore, so might be something interesting. Here we have another Bastion in the back and we're going to forfeit. Next opponent, we're going to have Drifblim here, and we're going to see the swap into the Empoleon. We're just going to go for a charge move here, and I was regretting this immediately. Basically immediately, because I was like, they don't even have to shield here, and they did not have to shield. And if I just went for the wild charge, I would have been fine. If I just decided to go for the wild charge, and like if they shield and then I swap out into my Drifblim, I would have been fine. But like I didn't do this, and this is really, really stupid by me. So don't play it like I did here. And at least I'm going to be able to get the shield back, and I can still at least go for one more Icy Wind afterwards as well. And they kind of going to be in a tough spot now because they're going to do way less damage than I do. Do they actually have Astonish as well? No, they do have Hex, and so they're forced to go for a charge move. As we did so much damage against them, that's absolutely wild. Definitely in farm down range, but also definitely in range for the Night Slash, which is kind of cool. I decided to use a shield here because a wild charge, even debuffed, is going to be amazing against whatever they have in the back, unless they're going to have a Gastrodon in the back, but it does not really matter. Big Earthquake coming through. Big Earthquake is going to get the knockout against the opponent here. Boom, and we can easily win this game with that. And next opponent, we're going to have the Empoleon coming in the lead, and again, you just want to stay in here, you don't want to throw a charge move, you just want to let those moves go through, and so we're gonna be able to hopefully go for the full farm down here. The opponent actually definitely has a little bit of a better IV variant. I feel like they have a little bit more health than before, but yeah, we can just go for the full farm down, have a lot of energy. Now the opponent swaps into the Drifblim, and I already went for the swap basically immediately after I went for the fast move. I want to stay in actually and go for 2 wild charges, but I didn't. And this really sucked because now I'm still going to be able to go for 2 Night Slashes, which is kind of fine because you're gonna get a shield from this then, and we're gonna get the boost, which does matter a little bit if you really think about it, because I will be able to now go into my Drifblim and farm them down because of this. But as you're gonna see, Night Slash is coming through. Night Slash is going to get the knockout against us. Not Night Slash, the Icy Wind is of course getting the knockout against us, but we can swap back into our own Drifblim, I would say. And the opponent swaps into their own Pokemon as well. Their Frosters here, I can go for a charge move. First wild charge, gonna get shielded. Second wild charge, they cannot shield this one at all. It does not get the knockout, I think. It just barely survives. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, one more Astonish is going to be enough, and so the opponent is going to forfeit this game. And this is going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this. I think this team still kind of works out as well. If you do encounter a ton of Bitehole, of course, this team going to be a little bit tricky, but maybe try out normal Gliscor instead of the Shadow variant. Might help with the matchup against the Drapion. But yeah, this is going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.